Years ago, I started teaching myself to code. And along the way, I learned how to use the terminal, this app that I have up here, but in a very piecemeal way, just picking things up as I needed them, which meant I ended up with these weird gaps, like a whole realm of things I didn't even know that I didn't know about working with the terminal. One pretty embarrassing example of this is tab to complete. Some months ago, I was watching my boyfriend navigate folders in his terminal. He started to type the name of a folder and then he just pressed tab and the name auto-completed. I'd been using tab to complete, doing programming and working in programming environments, but for whatever reason, I had never considered that the same thing would also work in the terminal. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about here, don't worry, I shall show you everything. This video covers what I wish someone had shown me up front about working with the terminal. And I've picked out the essentials that you need to work with Claude Code as a so-called normal person. I'm going to show you a handful of shortcuts and commands for the terminal app, but then also some really useful ones that you can use inside of Claude Code. So the terminal app on Mac is the native app for interacting with the command line, which is this text-based interface. There is, of course, an equivalent native app on Windows. It's either PowerShell or Command Prompt. And that's also why you hear tools like Claude Code referred to as CLI tools, command line interface tools. It's because you interact with them through the command line. All right, so in part one of this video, we're going to look at raw terminal commands, so to speak. And then part two, we'll look at commands for Claude Code. And for the terminal commands, we'll start by looking at what kinds of commands you can use to navigate folders in the terminal. And the tab to complete will make an appearance there. Then we'll look at a command that can recall your input history into the terminal, so you can repeat something that you wrote before. Then we'll do commands that help you orient yourself. Where am I and what is here in the folder structure you are navigating in. And then finally, we'll look at some text editing shortcuts. Jumping over to Claude Code, we'll look at the command that you can use to get help, a command that you can call up to look at your conversation history and load an old conversation. Also a command for how you can recall the last message or messages that you sent to Claude, how you can interrupt Claude, and how you can exit Claude Code. Okay, so let's jump into some navigation commands in terminal that'll help you navigate to different folders on your computer. I have booted up the terminal app here on my Mac. And if you just open the terminal application, it always boots up in your home folder. Another way of opening a terminal, which can sometimes be easier, is you can just right-click a folder, either in the Finder, or this one happens to be on my desktop, so I can just right-click on this folder, and I go and I find New Terminal Add Folder. And this will boot up a terminal, and you can see it's here in my workspace. So let's work with this. If you were to navigate your folders in the Finder on Mac, let me just open this folder. You can see here, we can see all the folders that are inside and navigate them. I think there's something here in Notes, for example. Yeah, and you can see I'm going down in the folder structure, and I'm also using back to go backwards up in the folder structure. And we can do all of these same things also directly in the terminal. Okay, so I'm back here in the terminal. And if I want to see, now I'm in this folder, my workspace, and I want to see what is here, I'm going to use the command ls to list the files that are in this workspace. Press enter, and it shows me, right? And it's the same thing that you would see if you would open it in the Finder. Now I know what's here, and I now want to navigate into one of these folders. I use the command cd, which is change directory. And let's see, we saw there was something in Notes. So here comes the tab to complete. I know that there is a folder here called 20-notes. And if I just start typing, I say, for example, 20, and I'm going to hit tab, and it's going to autocomplete the rest of the folder name. So if I want to navigate into the notes folder, I'll type CD, the name of the folder, and press enter, and you can see now we're inside the notes folder. Once again, if I want to see what's in here, I'll type this list command, press enter. There's one file, it's this Writing Forces Clarity file. Okay, so far we've used this CD command to go down in a folder structure, so to go deeper and deeper and deeper into a folder. And now we're here in the notes folder. If I wanted to go, for example, back into the My Workspace folder, if I try to use this change directory command, CD, and I write My Workspace, press enter, you see it says no such file or directory. And that's true because it's looking what's inside the notes folder and it doesn't find anything called My Workspace. So it's actually a different command if you want to go backwards. So let me show you. We still start with CD because we are changing the directory, but now to tell it to go backwards, we just press 2 dots. That's going to go up 1 level. We do this, press enter. See, now I'm back at My Workspace. So far we have used the CD command to navigate one layer at a time, both deeper into the folder structure, and also the CD ... to navigate back in the folder structure, but being layer at a time. And there are a few ways to go forward and backwards, more than one layer at a time, and I'll just show a couple of these sort of most useful commands here. For one, when I use the CD command, I'm not limited to just writing one folder and pressing enter. I can actually write out the full path if I want to go deeper into the folder structure. Let me show you an example. There's a folder in My Workspace that is called 10 projects. I'm typing 10, I'm pressing tab, I've got the projects, and you see how now there's a slash? That means I can then continue the path, because I don't just want to go into projects, I want to go into a folder inside projects. And I happen to know that that folder starts with the word projects. I'm just going to write pro. It auto-completes after I press tab. So now I'm actually going 2 folders deep. I'm in My Workspace, I'm going to go into the projects folder, and then I'm going to go into this project 01 folder. Press enter. You can see now we are there. So we went from My Workspace 2 levels deep into this project 01 folder. Now there's also a command if I want to just go right back to where I was before, which is 2 levels up, which is My Workspace. I can actually just type slash, press enter, and nothing happens. That was a not just slash, because we are navigating folders, so we need the CD prefix, we need the change directory. So I can just type CD and then this dash and press enter, and now I'm back to where I was before. So I have been able to jump 2 folders up, but it's only because I came from 2 folders up. So it's sort of like a rewind command. So the main thing to remember if you want to navigate around folders inside the terminal is to use this CD command prefix, and then you can either simply type out the folder that you want to go to if it's 1 level down from where you currently are. You can also type the whole file path if you want to navigate a few folders down. And remember, you can always use tab to complete. If you just start the name of the folder and press tab. And you can also navigate backwards, either with just the 2 dots to go up 1 folder level, or you can use this CD dash to go back to wherever you were before, if you, for example, went a few levels deep. And then the final thing in terms of orienting yourself, we looked at the ls command, the list, so you can see what's inside the folder that you're currently in. But we can also use a command pw, stands for print working directory. It's kind of a where am I command. Then it'll show you here, see, I am in users, LLO, desktop, My Workspace. So then you know where you are in the file hierarchy on your computer. Okay, I want to round off the terminal part of this video with a couple other commands that can help you with text editing. The first thing maybe we should do, since we now have filled up the terminal a bit, is I just want to use the command clear. And you see what happens? It doesn't undo anything. It doesn't delete anything. It simply just gives me a clean terminal workspace. So can be also a nice command if you want to clean up a little bit visually. It's purely a visual trick. So in terms of text editing and, let's say, streamlining your writing, besides something like Tap to Complete that can make things faster, you can also, using the arrow keys, you can cycle back to previous messages that you have written. So if I just press the up arrow right now, you can see it's now loading the last command that I wrote, which was the clear command. And I can continue. You can see here was where we looked at where we are. Here was when we went back to where we came from before. So I can do this forever, and I can also go use the down arrow to go back to down. So this can be helpful if you're repeating commands a lot, or you did a command a few lines ago, maybe a little bit of a longer one that you want to repeat, so you can navigate through previous commands with the arrow keys. Okay, rounding off then with a couple of key text editing commands. And these are really useful both in the terminal and also in the terminal when you're working with Claude Code, which we'll look at in a little bit. But then just a couple of other key commands that help you kind of navigate around and edit the text that you're working with here. I'm just going to type into the terminal. This is not a command. That's actually what I'm going to type. So this isn't anything that would do anything, but just to get some text in here. I can use the command Control and then U. And the way that I remember this is undo, right? U for undo. So I'm just going to undo the whole line, like so. Control U, undo, does everything. You can also delete word by word, and that's Control W. If I do it now, Control W, see, it just deleted the last word, and again and again. So W is pretty easy to remember. Control W deletes word by word. And the last thing you can do is you can actually just abandon the whole line by using Ctrl+C. Do you see how it just starts fresh again? So that's kind of just like a refresh button in the terminal. I think it's time that we jump into Claude Code and we look at the essential commands that you need to get up and running and working with Claude Code. And we can actually just jump right in right here. I'm in this workspace folder, and to spin up Claude, we're just going to type Claude and press enter. Now Claude is awake here in my workspace folder. And a really nice command to know for Claude Code is the help command. Let me show you. We always start with this slash, and if I write /help and press enter, you can see it's telling me already it's going to show help and available commands. So it gives you some commands that you can use. We just use this one, right? You start with this / for commands. It tells you can use @ to tag files, right? So you get an overview of all the commands here. And then you can see up at the top, this is actually a table. Do you see these are tabs here? You have commands and then you have custom commands. So I can navigate this table with the arrow key. So I'm going to press the right arrow. Now we're in the commands column. You can see the different commands, and I'm using the arrow keys to navigate, and it has a description of each command here. And again, if I press the right arrow again, I can see what are the custom commands. I think that especially if you're just starting out with Claude Code, these general commands are going to get you really, really far. To get out of this help view, you can just press escape. And now we're back out, and now we have the chat dialog with Claude back. Another helpful command in Claude Code is the resume command. And you can see you can resume a previous conversation. This is equivalent to the sidebar if you're in the Claude app or you're in ChatGPT, where you can see all your previous conversations and go back to them. So your conversations in Claude Code, they're not going anywhere. You can always reach them with this resume. And once again, I can navigate through the last conversation I had in this folder. This is all the conversations that you've had with Claude in this folder. Last one I had was about Obsidian plugins. If I press enter, I'm back now in this conversation and I can resume it if I want to. And just like in the terminal, if I want to recall the last message I sent to Claude in this session, I can also just navigate with the arrow keys. So here I set up, ask for help. Apparently asked to delete something. These are the messages, the previous messages that I've sent to Claude. Once again, it's specifically in this folder. I can also navigate back down this list. The little tweak in Claude Code that you should know about is if I press the down arrow once, I go to the end of this, and I could press enter and I can send this again. And if I press down arrow again, now I'm back to that next message and the next one and the next one and so on. Another nice command to know is the escape key, not just for getting out of, for example, if you were in that help section, but if you start Claude Code doing something and you wanted to stop whatever it's doing, either it's going in the wrong direction or you change your mind, whatever, you can just press escape. So for example, let's say I say create a new note in the inbox reminding me to film tutorial tomorrow. I'm going to send this message. You're going to see it's going to start working. And then I'm going to press escape because I'm going to change my mind. And do you see I press escape and it says interrupted. And then you can just continue. Sometimes you won't catch Claude in time for it to not have done anything. And then of course you can always ask it to just undo what it's done. So sometimes you will press escape and maybe it's already made the note. But it's also good to know that you can interrupt it with the escape key. And then the final core command for Claude Code is just how do you get out? How do you exit Claude Code and go back to the terminal? And that's just Ctrl+C, and you want to do this twice. And you can actually see, watch here at the bottom. If I press Ctrl+C, it says press it again to exit, and I did it twice, and now I'm back out in the terminal. And there you have it. We have done a quick round of foundational commands, both for navigating in the terminal and also for interacting with Claude Code. There's obviously a lot more to learn, a lot more available both in terminal and Claude Code, but these should give you a really nice foundation to get started with. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. And if this video was helpful, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe.